vegan so I can see clearer. No meat, no milk, no eggs, no cheese. Don't believe me? Just ask Sarah. I don't know who Sarah is, but that was from a mix from Little Texas, and he was mixing in a British hip hop artist who was rapping about veganism. I like that. So, kind of talking about the spiritual aspects of it. Still working on it, getting there. And in one of my previous talks, I talked about kind of my reasoning behind why I'm moving towards veganism. Basically, the when you're not vegan and you eat meat, the meat gets trapped in your intestines. It takes a long time to get it out. And what happens is you have to have parasites that feed on the rotting meat, and those parasites are the three-dimensional manifestation. There's a astral manifestation of those parasites too, and they're actually in your aura. So if you're carrying parasites around in your 3D body, they have an auric component as well, and it's basically there are actually parasites in your auric field. So there you have it, and they're influencing you. So I'm working on getting myself totally clean. Getting clean, man. Are you clean, man? People say that, like, if you're like doing hard drugs or something, I gotta get clean, man. Well, that's what happens is hard drugs, and actually, even the sacred plants, what they do is they open up a hole in your auric field. What happens is, depending on the plant, the bigger the hole or the smaller the hole. Like one that a lot of people are using now, and the one that first introduced me to sacred plants was cannabis. It's probably the just the most socially accepted sacred plant. It won't take you deep into other realms or inside yourself or in the hyperspace or anything like that. But what it does is it gives you a little taste of the power of sacred plants. Just a basic what it does for me, and I think a lot of other people, whether they realize it or not, is it kind of cleans your auric field out. So but when it does that, it needs to get in your auric field, so it does open up a little hole, and it comes in, it cleans things out for you, it cleans out your auric field, and then it slowly exits out, and then but at that point it leaves that hole in your auric field. And so what happens is, slowly over time, the auric field, that hole in your auric field closes up. But in the meantime, while it's open and the spirit of the cannabis has exited it, you got other things that might be able to come in and come out. And to minimize the things getting in, you can kind of think of them as like, varmints, or like rodents. They're getting in a hole, and they want to get inside of your auric field where it's nice and warm and cozy, and they're looking for a place to for shelter and to live. And so they might get in there. In order to minimize it, you want to do certain things, as that you can either become a chronic cannabis smoker, which most people probably end up doing, chronic to some extent. Some people are doing it every day, multiple times a day, and I don't judge that. And that's for me, once a week is where I like to keep it, and that's enough to kind of get my auric field cleaned out, and then within a week, just get it cleaned out again. Within that week, the spirit of the cannabis is still slowly inside that auric field. There's enough of it in there within that week span that it'll generally keep out anything too negative. And the other thing is, you want to get good astral hygiene. That means, not eating meat, and not focusing on negative things. Just trying to, basically listen to Sevan Bomer. It's hard to say his name. I mean, he has a whole like syllabus on astral hygiene. So just following any of his recommendations is perfect. Something else I think I wanted to reiterate: I haven't drank ayahuasca since my last post. I'm still working on myself. I feel like I kind of got the message that next time I go in, I kind of want to get like my stuff together. Like, I want to be vegan for a while, and I'm not the person where I want to be spiritually yet. So I'm still working on that. Plus, I already dropped the bomb that I already got the ultimate message. I mean, the Cosmic Mother told me that there was no lesson beyond the lesson that she revealed to me, which was the only, the only real thing in this 3D reality is love. Everything else is illusion, and everything else is actually pointless and actually meaningless at the end of the day. It's all about how much you loved, in her eyes. And I don't know where you're going after you pass on, if you're planning on, going into an afterlife or not. I mean, I definitely am. I think whether you like it or not, you go into. But I mean, you can, it's not to say that everything else is meaningless. It isn't. That's kind of where it gets tough. It's like we're all working on things in this life. We're all working out all this minutia. We're refining our spirits, and it's all important. And even just the pure like 3D basic things that we do, like working to make this world a better place with our hands and with our minds, and things that we do, building an invention that helps people, or just being whatever it is that we are, whether it be with a career, or someone just who helps family members or helps in whatever capacity. That's all very important, but really ultimately it's just the love is really the only thing that really, I guess, really matters, or is even really actually real, because everything else is illusory. And there are a lot of people out now trying to figure out what this is all about. A lot of people have woken up to this level. I just myself am there too. I'm just trying to figure out, okay, what is this thing about? Like, especially when you drink ayahuasca or you smoke DMT or something. I mean, you get so far out there, and it seems like you're so far out of your body that when you come back into it, or when it feels like you're coming back into it with whatever's happening, you come back in and you're just like, okay, I just stepped out of the fishbowl. Like, I saw things that I can't even describe or in words, and I've experienced things I can't even describe in words. And you come back in here and you're just living this kind of normal life, and it's a little challenging to just get back to like living like a normal person's life after you've experienced those things that ayahuasca will allow you to experience. And there's a challenge in that. And so I don't regret drinking it at all, but I'll never be the same. I know I'll never be the same, just because I've seen and experienced what I've seen. I've just seen things that, until someone experiences them, there's really no way for me to even, I can describe them in words the best I can, but it doesn't really even come close. So, oh yeah, getting back to my point. Yeah, ayahuasca fried my brain, man. I can't even think straight. People are kind of waking up to this point of like trying to figure out what this is. This 3D reality is. Is it some type of sort of a digital matrix? Are we just like some sort of hologram? Is this some sort of an experiment? Is this a zoo? Where like the aliens are watching us and trying to figure us out? Are we a simulation? That's the big thing now. It's like, well, it's just a big simulation. We're just, we're just acting. We're like The Sims, and we're just like in some software simulation, and the AI is running it, or, and that may be true, but still, like love still finds its way here, even if this is like the most artificial, illusory thing it could possibly be, which it seems like it is. Love is still here, even if we're actually just like, just created synthetically by some software. Like our DNA was created, like the DNA of every living thing on the planet actually had its origins in a synthetic origin, just like some hardware, software, that's light years ahead of what we can comprehend, but just like, spit out all these, little DNA plans, and just whatever happened, on the planet, and then we got to where we are now. Even if that was the case, I mean, it's like love is here, so that's the the real thing. Like, this has actually become real because love is here. And I think love's been around for as long as humans have been around, and love is still evolving. As humankind evolves, love evolves with us, and we get closer and closer to that ideal love, which is the infinite unconditional love of the cosmic mother. and that's what I try to emulate. And so that's the beauty of the progress of the human race. Even though, yeah, we have all these problems. We're having like environmental issues now, and just all the problems that come along with humanity. Love is still evolving, and so that's something to always consider, that love is evolving through us and through our hearts. And I think the goal is just to get closer, and for us all to get closer and closer to that infinite unconditional love for everyone and everything. And once we all have that in our hearts, then, man, I don't even know what would happen. Because if this is just a fake simulation at that point, man, I don't even know what would happen. I mean, I guess it could still stay a stimulation, and we'd all just like be living this really awesome, in this awesome reality instead of the one we're living in now. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just kind of throwing out a bunch of random thoughts today. I didn't really have an agenda of what I wanted to talk about, other than maybe that hole that the sacred plants open in our auric fields. I mean, like for instance, ayahuasca will open up, uh, basically open up the whole of your entire auric field. It will just be like one big hole, and like everything will be coming in for a second. But what happens is, with the ayahuasca spirit there, is that anything that's in that auric field, anything that you're carrying inside of you or in the auric field, will get that's negative, is going to get scrubbed out and just get like cleaned out, and it's going to leave you. So after, it may take a couple months, like you may just purge, you throw it all up and you get it all out. Most of the time you have to do multiple sessions of purging. For me, it was like, I took like 5 months where I could see, like I shut my eyes and I could still see like the negative entities that I was like harboring or that were hanging around me. And finally I had this huge like diarrhea explosion that would lasted like 4 days. And then after that, I've never been the same since, but in the best of ways. I've never been the same since, because I like the negativity has just lost me. And I'll end this off with one question that my friend asked me like a while ago, when I told him about some of my experiences. And he was like, well, for someone who doesn't do sacred plants and stuff like that, is there anything like tangible or anything that's really concrete that these experiences have given you to bring into this reality? And I said, yeah. I said, it took the fear away. Like with that negativity that left me, the fear has left me too. Like I just don't have fear at the level I did. I still might have like just a little bit, the tiniest bit. And usually when if it pops up at all, then I'll just be like, my spirit will just like remind itself like, oh no. It's just, it won't like I'm just like, I can't do it anymore. It's like the feeling of jealousy, like me with my spiritual involvement. I'm not trying to brag, because I have plenty of other problems, but with jealousy, it's never something that I ever really experienced. I never authentically felt that emotion of jealousy. I just don't feel it. And I've also been very lucky. I've been shown that infinite unconditional love by women in my family, my grandmother, my mother, growing up. So once you have that, it kind of puts you in a position where you're going to have a more difficult time feeling jealousy and things like that, because you've got that love early on. So I was lucky to have that. So I really credit my grandmother and my mother and other family members, other family members as well, with providing some of that, unconditional love to me. But basically what I was saying is that I always understood what jealousy was. Like even from a young age, I understand the concept, I get it, but I just never in this lifetime have authentically felt it. And I'm sure I'm not the only one who has had these experiences. I'm sure there are other people who understand emotions but just don't feel them either. Hopefully they're the negative emotions, and I think that comes with just the spiritual involvement. As people keep incarnating, more they reincarnate, the more they get to a vibrational level where they're just going to stop being able to even feel the negative emotions. And so what with the sacred plants, specifically with ayahuasca, has now allowed me to do is to now become incapable of really feeling fear. And it's different. Yeah, it's really different. But I guess there is still some fear, because now when I think of drinking again, ayahuasca again, I have a little fear. Maybe that's what it is. It takes away the fear of anything that could possibly happen in this reality, and because you realize that anything that could happen here, worst that can happen is you die a painful death. I've already experienced death a number of times in the ayahuasca journeys, and yeah, that was the most fear I've ever had. But I'm still here. I seemed like I died a number of times, and I'm still somehow alive in this reality. So I guess I fear it happening again, but I've been through it a couple times, and I seem to be okay. So I guess there's really nothing to fear. I guess the lesson it's trying to teach me is don't fear death. You know, death is the worst that happens here. Don't fear it. Your consciousness still goes on. Now I don't know where it goes on. If when we die it's anything like an ayahuasca journey, all I know is where the only place I know to go is to that infinite unconditional love, just that what I would call the cosmic mother, that infinite unconditional love that emanates from that just beautiful magenta light. So I assume that's where I'm going. I don't know. I don't. For most people, they seem to reincarnate. I'm sure. I've obviously been reincarnating. Some people talk about going through the sun. That may be another thing. The sun is the biggest mystery. I'll close it with this. Seven was talking about the sun at the end of his Keymaker preseason talk, and he was saying you're not ready to know what the sun is until you have gone through. I'm not even going to try to repeat what he said because he said it so perfectly and elegant, like he always does, because he's channeling. So Seven basically he's channeling his higher self. He's one of these people who you can tell is so in touch with their higher selves that they're basically just speaking from their higher self is speaking right through them and just dropping the craziest, best spiritual information around basically. But yeah, he said basically understanding what the sun and the moon really are is kind of one of the ultimate things that basically a human can figure out. And he didn't give it away, but he basically said the sun, the moon, definitely. I guess maybe the sun too are machinations. They're essentially machines in this 3D reality, and they are running things. A lot of people are wondering, is the sun really what's controlling time or keeping track of time? There are also other people who talked about the soul's journey to get out of this reincarnational cycle. Like eventually you have to actually project your soul through the sun, or not your soul but your spirit, because the soul would be like outside of the soul would be existing outside of this entire universe in the highest dimension. But the spirit may be getting our light body or our spirit like to go actually through the sun. And I'm thinking that I might have even seen a glimpse of it on my last ayahuasca journey when I left my body. I felt like I left my body, and I feel like I went through the sun for a second, and it was just this pure blinding white light. And it was bliss. It was great. I came back out of it. I came here just because I don't know if I could have stayed there anyway, but I wanted to come back here. I knew I have a lot of unfinished business back here, and so that's kind of what brought me out of that. I felt like I was up there for about another 10 minutes or so, and I was just like, actually my wife was texting me because she was like, I can't remember why, but I was like, I felt the text, I felt the phone vibrate. I was like, even though this is blissful and this is great, I still have like real life stuff I care about. I still care about if my wife's texting, I want to see if she's, needs some help or something. So I brought myself out of that blissful state that I was in, like in the sun, and had to check my, text and make sure everything was cool. But yeah, the sun is a huge mystery, and man, I think it's the greatest mystery, and the moon too, definitely. So I'm still trying to a lot of people are trying to figure this whole thing out, trying to figure out what this matrix is about, what the sun and the moon are about. But anyway, just some random thoughts I wanted to just put out there. Hopefully, I don't know if it'll help anybody. It wasn't like I was dropping much new stuff, but pretty soon I'm gonna be satisfied with how vegan I've become, and just basically become a full vegan for like at least a month, maybe more, and then I'm gonna take that big ayahuasca drink again and go deep, and just go deep as I can go. I don't know, but like I said, I felt like I already got the ultimate lesson about love, but yeah, there's always just more to explore. There's a whole world to explore, and that's the greatest part of it. So, anyway, signing off. Hope everybody's doing good. I love you all. Bye bye.